You might have seen the kit. Black, minimal, and 3 letters on it. MBO. No team, no backstory, and no campaign. Just a jersey that randomly showed up and somehow has stuck around in some of the circles that I'm in, and maybe yours too. It's not European, and it's absolutely not heritage, and it's definitely not budget if you look into it on its website. It's Chinese, and it's ambitious, and it's quietly putting itself in the same tier as Rapha, MAAP, and Panama Studios, just without the cultural clout that those names are built upon. Now, normally this is the part where I would tell you about who started the brand, the story behind all of it, and the cultural relevance of it in the world that we currently live. Maybe it was some ex-pro with a vendetta against a bad bib short, a designer who thought cycling kit needed a little bit more soul, but with MBO, good luck finding it, because you could comb every single dusty corner of the internet and still come up absolutely empty. I found no founder, no backstory. All I found is a bit of a cringy name, Moving Being Open, MBO, which to me sounds a little bit more like a mindfulness retreat than a cycling brand. On the 11th hour, the morning after I'd hit export on this video, I heard back from MBO themselves. I reached out to them with the same questions that I hit every single brand with. I just want to know as much information about them that I can't get online. And this is what they said. So the contact from MBO said, our founder is a cycling enthusiast, so he has always devoted himself to the cycling industry. For a lot of brands, it comes from an ex-pro like Isidore, 2 brothers who were in the pro peloton for so many years, like Panama Studios, 2 fashion designers who were in the game for so long and are the face of the brand. But for MBO, there is no person behind it. It is literally just a label that's come out of nowhere and has started shifting kit in the market. The next point was around how their team is currently in China. They have an offline flagship store in Miami, USA, and each state has its own marketing personnel. They did admit on my third point that all cushion materials are imported from Italy, and we have our own domestic factory for all production and design teams. And the final point that I found quite interesting is around where they put themselves in the market and their pricing structure. Pricing is based on material costs and performance. Currently, we mainly target mid to high-end market. We hope that through continuous growth and self-transcendence, we can step into the historical stage together with traditional brands such as Rapha and MAAP in the future. Which is bold, because I think a lot of the brands that we know about, we know the backstory, we know who's behind it, and we get a bit of a feel, and we feel like there's some sort of connection that you might have with this brand. But I do think MBO are doing something quite bold, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Anyway, back to where we were 2 minutes ago. But here's what we do know. Before anyone in the UK or US had even heard of MBO, they were already picking up speed across Asia. While Western brands were still selling exclusivity, clubhouses, limited drops, €200 bibs, MBO was taking a slightly quieter approach. Simple design, precise manufacturing, and premium materials, and pricing to match it. And the people behind MBO aren't rebels or disruptors. They were actually industry insiders. The founders say they were in the apparel business for years, which suggests OEM experience, but we don't have named clients or confirmed contracts on record. So they know the fabrics, they knew the margins, they knew exactly how much branding inflates the price of a jersey. So in 2022, they flipped the switch from we make their stuff to we can now do our own. Let's be clear here, this isn't budget kit. For a brand with absolutely no heritage, no famous founder or rider behind it, and absolutely no presence in the world tour, MBO's pricing is quietly bold. It is still 129 quid for a jersey, or £164 for bibs. They're not sneaking in through the side door, but they're almost walking straight through the front like they belong in the place, which raises a real question. Are you paying for the performance, or are you just buying into the idea that premium has to come with a European accent? Because MBO isn't spending money on a design studio in Shoreditch or flying a drone through the Dolomites. At this point, I think it's bloody mad. I think a brand with absolutely no presence or history in the market charging these prices is a little bit ludicrous. They just started shipping stuff, first in China, then Southeast Asia, and now the occasional sighting in Richmond Park. Maybe a thread on Reddit, or someone's review on YouTube.
They are called MBO.
Here we are talking about MBO cycling.
New collection from MBO.
From MBO.
And that's kind of how MBO moved, through proximity. They've been quietly seeding gear to riders, creators, and weekend racers.
Currently riding just the normal Prime shorts, the no training version, and they are excellent.
Aesthetic, 5 out of 5. Picked this thing myself. I love it.
They've got no big ad budget, they've got no contracts, just here you go, here's a bunch of kit, tell us what you think on your YouTube channel. Some absolutely love it. The fit, the fabric, and the value for what you're getting. Others are a little bit hesitant. Not because of the performance, but because they don't know what MBO stands for. It doesn't have the lineage or the cafe respect or the kind of aesthetic language that signals this is premium. It's still the new kid on the block. And that's where things get a little bit weird, in my opinion, because MBO's weakest link, I think, is the branding. First of all, the name, Moving Being Open, MBO. It sounds a little bit like a self-help podcast, and like I said earlier, almost like some sort of retreat that you would go to. And the website leans heavily into poetic copy, literally taken from their website. Together we are all cycling enthusiasts, joy riders, under open skies with open hearts. What even is that? They've nailed the product. Now they just need to close the gap between performance and perception. Also, not to nitpick here, but they still have stock copy live on parts of their website. But this isn't just about MBO. It's about what happens when a brand skips all the rituals of cycling prestige and still charges like it belongs at the top of the food chain. For years, premium has been defined by Europe, Italian craftsmanship, Danish restraint, British moodiness, and now a Chinese brand with absolutely no legacy, no origin myth, and no pro team is showing up with Italian fabrics, world-class pads, and enough confidence to price itself like it belongs there. And I think that's really interesting. So what's next? If it was me and I were them, I'd say dial in the branding a little bit more, take it to the next step. Find their creative voice in what they're making and build emotional equity, not just technical spec, because once MBO figures out how to make its message as sharp as its kit, they won't just be interesting, they'll be credible in the market. So what about you? Are you going to be sticking with what you know, the brands that you've always used, or are you ready to wear something that you can't explain yet? I don't know if I'd want to whack down that much money for a piece of kit when you could go to somewhere that you actually trust, like Rapha, Panama, MAAP. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Please do let me know them. And if you haven't yet, do like and subscribe, do all the other things, hit the bell icon. I don't even know if that's still a thing, but yeah, massively appreciate you watching. Once again,